Nearly everyone in the sports world has had an opinion on the frightening scene that we saw during Monday Night Football when Bills safety Damar Hamlin went down after his heart stopped, going into cardiac arrest after a collision on a tackle he made on Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins. But one of the worst takes we've heard, I know a lot of people giving Skip Bayless a lot of hell for the tweet that he put out there, but one of the worst takes we saw is from someone on ESPN. Bart Scott gave a take where he decided to blame T. Higgins. T. Higgins, who I'm sure has no idea how to process this, how to deal with the fact that just on a routine tackle, the guy he ran into nearly died on the field right in front of his very eyes. But now to have someone like Bart Scott putting the blame on him, that is absolutely ridiculous. And already you have people in the NFL coming to the defense of T. Higgins. People like Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons rips Bart Scott for blaming T. Higgins for Damar Hamlin incident. Cowboys star Micah Parsons laid into former NFL player-turned-commentator Bart Scott, who blamed the Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins for causing Bills safety Damar Hamlin's cardiac arrest during Monday Night Football. And we're going to get into the response. We're going to get into the response from Micah Parsons, but first, let's listen to Bart Scott on ESPN.
Intentionally. Right. What exactly did T. Higgins do last night to Hamlin?
Well, right before the tackle, he lowers his helmet and he kind of throws his body into his chest. He's standing up because he's thinking he's got to chase T. Higgins at an angle to make a tackle. So he didn't expect T. Higgins to launch his body back into him. You know, as one.
Well, real quick, we're going to stop that. We will take a look at a little bit. He certainly lowered his head a little bit because he was running forward like everybody does when you're running forward, but it's not like he hit him with his helmet. It's not like he launched with the crown of his helmet, anything like that. And the idea that, he was doing something he wasn't expecting. Are you going to blame a wide receiver for making a juke and a defensive back tearing their ACL? Well, he didn't know the wide receiver was going to go that way. He thought he was going to go this way. That's how football is played, bro.
One of those things, a lot of times you sit as a linebacker, unblocked, ungated running back comes through the hole, and he knows the contact's coming, so he lowers his helmet, and you can't get underneath him, so he's able to get into you, and your chest is exposed. So they've taken that out of the game, but they don't really regulate it as much as possible. I expect the league will be a lot more vigilant when it comes to that and using that penalty.
Right.
Yeah, that penalty doesn't apply here. It absolutely does not. That is stupid and insane. What happened, I agree with Dov Kleiman in this case, what happened was a freak accident. If everything we're learning about this is true, it's an absolute freak, crazy situation to be hit right there at that exact time. Are there other extenuating circumstances? Quite possibly, all right? But it has nothing to do with what T. Higgins did. All right, we're not going to play this entire video because you guys have seen this enough. We're especially not going to play what happened after. But when we do talk about the play itself, right, this is T. Higgins running with, the head in front like you always do if you're running like that. It was clearly just his shoulder. His shoulder runs into him. That's the bottom line. He didn't hit him with his head. He didn't lead with the crown of his helmet. That is an absolute ridiculous thing to say. For Bart Scott to say that, what a piece of shit. And for somebody like T. Higgins, who we saw this was one of the more emotional things I saw, and it still kind of gets to me coming out of this game on Monday, was when you see this. Just stood with T. Higgins' mom, who's now walking out with T, who has his arm wrapped around her. T was the one who collided with Damar before he collapsed. You had to imagine that despite the fact that this isn't his fault, T. Higgins is not at fault for what happened, despite what Bart Scott is trying to say. But yeah, the emotions you feel, the guilt you would feel after something like that has to be insane. And he needed his mom. You know what I mean? This grown man needed his mom there for support. And now he's getting blamed by people like that. But he does have Micah Parsons coming behind him and having his back. Micah Parsons did respond to him, and you could see right here, we serious? Why do we let some people speak on TV? There's a freak incident, but putting fault on the other players, wild. They should make some of these guys go over lines or something, or not even give them a seat at the table. Now, Bart Scott, since this went viral, has, started saying other things like, hey, listen, I was a little taken out of context. This is from the third part of the segment. It was absolutely a freak incident, but that doesn't really change the fact that he was kind of blaming what T. Higgins did and saying it was illegal, and then he'd get that out of the game. That's garbage, man. You can try to spin all you want, you get a fucking shit take. I don't think it's the same as, Skip Bayless's terribly worded tweet, where at the end he clearly said that the most important thing is Damar Hamlin, but still, we're seeing a lot of bad takes go all around from this. Micah Parsons slamming Bart Scott trying to clear it up, but clearly One of the worst takes we've seen so far on this, trying to blame T. Higgins for this. Let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments section below, and we'll talk to you later.